Obviously, number 5 down. Today was exciting because the first day in full pads, I thought our kids responded really, really good. Tomorrow we'll jump into our first 2 a day, so kind of see exactly where they are endurance-wise. Really, been pleased at this point for 2 reasons. First off, stayed relatively healthy. I mean, some guys got some minor dings and things, but nothing that really is going to concern us long term of anybody in our playing rotation or thoughts that we'd have that moving forward. In addition to that, I thought really having some healthy competition at the positions that we needed. Obviously, quarterback. Between Danny O'Brien, Kurt Phillips, and Joel Stavi. Really, those 3 guys have performed very, very well. And kind of one guy will have a day, another guy will have another day, and it's kind of been back and forth. Without Monte out there, Monte in there, there's been a lot of, I think, good intensity amongst the running backs between James White, Melvin Gordon, Jeff Lewis, Vontae Jackson. All of them kind of have some flashes, so it's been fun to watch that. Defensively, I've been impressed with the communication. We don't know until the bullets start flying, but the defensive communication is as good as we've ever had, and that was a huge point of emphasis in the Odyssey, and so hopefully that keeps moving forward.
You mentioned on the radio today that Monte was getting closer
Yeah.
to being approved. Can you update
Yep,
us on that?
absolutely. Exactly where Monte at is, we didn't do anything with him, I believe, the first 3 days on the practice field. So according to NCAA rules, you got to go through an acclimatization. First day, 2 days are in helmets. Next 2 days are in half pack, which is shoulders and helmets. So tomorrow he'll go through his second day of shoulders and helmets, and then when we come back on Monday, he'll be good to go full gear. Now I probably he's gotten the green light. Other than we just can't. I wouldn't throw him into a game on Saturday, but next week we'll probably break him in, probably keep him in a green jersey, keep him out of contact for another week, and then 2 weeks out from the game we'll hit the ground running.
Is he excited about returning?
I think he's very excited. I think it's something he had dreamed about. Obviously, going back to a year ago when he said he was going to stay to come into a senior year and accomplish a lot of things, not just for himself, but I think he has the team goals in mind and is really wired that way. So I think for him to get back out here, it'll juice this whole place up.
Is that a little ahead of what you thought, or?
Not really, just because there was a lot going back and forth. Really, those first 48 hours, didn't know exactly where things were, and we're just being overly cautious to make sure everything was in order.
You mentioned in the spring that Aberdaris would probably be the punt guy, but you look at some other people on kickoffs. Is that still the plan on kickoff returns, to look at other people?
2 different things. I think on punt return, you got a host of guys. James White has a chance back there. Kenzel Doe has a chance back there, and then a couple of the freshmen. Darius Hillary has looked good, at least catching the ball. We'll know when we get to more scrimmage situations, people in his face. And at kick returns, we'll have Monty back there, looking to see what he's got. A couple other big guys that can run. Reggie Love, the possibility of a couple other non-traditional guys. Chris Borland, some guys back there that maybe can bring some size with it.
So you're thinking of taking Jared off? Oh.
No.
Oh.
Just, you said besides Jared.
Okay.
I'll just answer your question.
Would it be hard to take him off? His dynamic is.
He is, but also on the same account, I think there were times in games where he just got taxed out a little bit. Playing all those reps from the line of scrimmage, in addition to being a punt returner, kick returner. I think to start the game, it'd be pretty safe to say he'd be our starting kick returner and punt return. But maybe midway through the second quarter, he's got 32 reps in the first half. Maybe you put James in, and give him a chance. I think. We got the one thing that we've been able to do here is build up our depth at the skill, I think, at certain positions, and give us a chance to get guys like that in big roles.
Mazzani was talking about his wide receivers the other day, and someone's got to step forward. You mentioned Duckworth. One guy who's been banged up is Chase Hammond. Is he healthy now, and what have you seen early this week?
I tip my hat to Chase. He's a guy that maybe a year ago or a year and a half, we didn't even know if he was really going to come back and play because he'd had those severe ankle surgeries and has really battled through it. He's a big guy. He's an athletic guy, so I think he gets, some bumps and bruises just because he's so athletic and physically fit. So he's been impressive in camp. He's a guy that'll have 2 good days and then maybe slip off a little bit, but I've been impressed with him. I've been impressed with Kenzel Doe. I think Kenzel is performing at a high level right now. Jeff has showed signs, but again, Jeff needs to be consistent in everything he's doing. And then another guy that's really come on, Jordan Frederick. You guys refer back to a year ago at this time. He was a guy that we thought about playing, and then he unfortunately had the shoulder injury, and we had to do the surgery and redshirted. But he's really jumped out to me during the first 5 days.
Does full pads speed up your process about finding some answers, or does it still take a while?
The only thing full pads does is allows us to play big boy football. I mean, the way we like to play, and I think out there today you saw guys that were truly straining, competing, backside cutoffs, front side pulls, all that stuff was full speed engaging. And the only thing we didn't do today is take the ball carrier to the ground. So I think that part, it lets the Wisconsin players start to show up. I mean, you can kind of get away with being on the edges when you're not in full pads, but you got to play front and center when the big boy pads come on
You mentioned Hillary, and you said you wanted Ash to decide.
by Saturday.
Yeah. So where's he leaning?
You know, nowhere. He's at
Okay.
corner right now. He's repped all corner all week. He'll play corner tomorrow in both our practices, and then we'll have a big personnel on Sunday morning, personnel meeting, and kind of make sure that we got the right people at least in the right spots.
How about Llewellyn and Matthias? Are there updates? How are those
Yeah,
guys?
Dallas is, he isn't cleared 100% full go, but I really wanted to have him in camp, and the doctors gave him clearance to get involved in a lot of individual work. He can't get thrown into the team section, but I've been impressed. He's right there. He's just, we hope, I doubt he'll be in that opener, but he might give us, in that third, fourth game, be able to give us some depth. And he's a big body. He's strong. That leg just wasn't as strong as the other one, so they want to make sure he's full strength before he pops in there. And then Matthias. Zach's been great, running with our two left guard. And I really think, obviously, at the guard position, Freddie's pretty established. We got Ricky Wagner, and then you got Robbie Havison, who's looking really good at right tackle. But that whole guard between Ryan Groy, Costigan, Zach Matthias, Dallas Llewellyn, Robbie Burge, there's a host of guys that you got to really see could be into that mix.
Is Ball still Ray Ball?
Ray Ball's in there. I think Ball might be just a little bit behind those guys, but Ray had a couple really nice plays today, and it seems to be clicking into him very well.
You mentioned some competitive positional battles. Do you have one going on in kicker right now?
Kyle's been kicking the ball extremely well. Jack Russell, obviously great kicker from Wanakee coming in. I think he's into that. Holy cow, this is, last time he was kicking in the state playoff game. Now there's a little bit bigger guys out there and all that's going on. But Jack's got you can see he's got a good live leg. He's been impressive in the kickoff part of it. But Kyle's been dead on with the PATs and field goals. And then the punter, Drew has been really, Drew Meyer has been hitting the ball, turning it over. In punting, that's a good phrase, is turning it over. He's hitting it high up. It's getting good length, good hang time, good attitude, or high height and hang time. Great part was we did all of our kicking yesterday during a driving rainstorm, and you never know when that's going to come up. I remember last year sitting at the end of training camp, and the one negative that I had of things that I couldn't control was we didn't have any wet weather practices for the most part, and we got two of them really good ones in a row.
With open up the season against Northern Iowa, do you like the idea of FBS teams playing FCS teams, or do you think it's kind of a necessary evil with the 12-game schedule?
Well, I think scheduling in itself has taken over the last 10 years, and kind of where we're moving now with obviously the playoff system down the horizon. The FCS and the FBS whole saga that goes back and forth really is it's a filler because of scheduling. Like I've said in the past, I lost 2 games to San Diego State. That kind of caused a whole rematch. We moved to Virginia Tech. Just to get the BYU game on the schedule, I had to move 3 different games to make it happen. We're probably going to have a nice big announcement here coming up soon, and for that one to happen, we had to move actually 4 different games. So it's a process that nobody understands until you're in the middle of it. I'm very excited to play UNI. Mark Farley and his team, everybody knows they almost beat Iowa. They were on two last-second field goals that, and I think Iowa won 8 or 9, maybe 10 games that year. They're a good football team that it won't be afraid to come here and play in Camp Randall.
When's your first scrimmage going to be?
It'll be, we'll probably in the middle of Molly next week have a modified scrimmage, but the first big one will be next Saturday. That's, knock down, drag out, see who can make it home.
I know he's not a mixing quarterback, but the kid from California.
Chase Knox?
Yeah. How does he look? And is that the connection with Boo? Is that how he got there?
No, I believe Chase, he kind of had a couple VIPs calling in on his back. I know Garcia called in on him. There's a couple NFL quarterbacks called in. I don't know what the whole connection was. And at the time, when we started bringing in some walk-on quarterbacks, we just didn't have the numbers because we didn't know if Kurt was going to be able to go. We didn't know if Budmeyer was going to be able to go. We didn't know at the time then when Bart Houston got dropped out of it. So all of a sudden we're in this panic mode to find some guys, and Chase came up. We got him here probably 2 weeks before camp started. I love this. Now we're in a huddle like we are right now, and we're signaling plays in, and of course Stavi and Daniel Bryan and Kurt Phillips took the signals from the sidelines, but here's a kid who's been here 3 weeks. So Coach Canada comes out, gets out in the huddle, and he goes, "Coach, I don't mean to upset you." He pushes him out of the huddle. He goes, I want the signals," and nailed it. And the kid, when he hops in there, all of our guys just start, "Hey, watch this, watch this." I think he went 2 days without an incompletion, and then he threw one to the defense. So technically, he was 100%. But he's very impressive, great. He's just one of those kids. He kind of reminds you of a Brooks Ballinger. No, don't go there with it, but I mean, he's just got that little vibe to him.